warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, my name is Muhammad Alif Listiansyah. I am 20 years old and graduated from Manwan, Bandar Lampung. I studied at the Department of State Administration in University of Lampung. Since I was little, I have been living in Sidomulyo, South Lampung. Normally, I am not the kind of a person who easy to talk in front of public like this, but I'm trying to overcome the nervous. And now, I get an assessment from my lecturer to analyze case about poverty in Indonesia. After that, I will relate the case to the theory in the bias radar for responsible policy making book that was submitted last week, and now I will try to explain the case. Based on the 2003 National Socio-Economic Survey, the number of poor people decreased by around 1.1 million, from 38.4 million, 18.1% in 2002, 7.3 million, 17.4% in 2003. Although the percentage of poor people in 2003 had decreased to the pre-crisis level, namely 17.6% in 1996, the number of poor people remains large, even if the poverty line of 125% is used to cover group of people classified as near poor. The number of people who are near poor exceeds the number of poor people. Although the number of poor people has decreased, they are still vulnerable and have the potential to increase again in the event of price fluctuation, especially food, crop failure, or socio-political instability that has an impact on the welfare of the less fortunate. Briefly, the poverty picture in 2003 can be summarized as follows. First, the reduction in the poverty rate in 2003, namely around 1.1 million people, only occurred in urban areas, while in rural areas it is relatively unchanged. Second, the percentage of poor people remains large in conflict-prone areas and eastern Indonesia, namely Papua 39%, Maluku 32.9%, Nanggro Aceh Darussalam 29.8%, Gorontalo 29.3%, NTT 28.6%, and NTB 26.3%. Third, the number of poor people in Java, East Java, Central Java, and West Java covers around 52.1% of the total poor population throughout Indonesia. The problem of poverty in urban areas is generally related to limited employment opportunities and slow wage increase in adjusting to price increase as a result of the crisis. Wage stagnation and price increase have resulted in urban poor being classified as poor. Poverty in Indonesia is still seen as a rural phenomenon, with between 65 to 75% of the poor living in rural areas. Some of the factors that cause people in rural areas to remain poor include low access to health problems, clean water, and education. More than 90% of the poor in rural areas have only primary school education or less. From the above description, it is seen that poverty is a multidimensional development problem and must be resolved with policies and programs across development sector. These efforts have been made since 3 decades ago. However, the way to overcome it is still partial by each sector by looking at the problem relatively narrowly. In the future, this challenge is even greater with the lack of synergy between the government, the business world, and the community in poverty reduction efforts, which is a major challenge in this case, optimizing limit I take development research about beautiful policies in Europe. This policy is made to address climate change that occurs in Europe regarding the replacement of fuel from fossil fuel to plant-based fuel, such as wood, oil obtained from harvest plants or crop residues. This policy has received much critique because it encourages the use of biofuel with unwanted consequences that adversely affect others. For one, it classifies biomass and wood as renewable energy resource. However, burning wood emits significant amount of particulate pollution with major impact on health. On the other hand, it indirectly encourages land use change that triggers an increase in global food price, causing food insecurity for the poor in many countries. In 2008, the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO), which is leading the United Nations international effort to eliminate hunger, raised the alarm over the policy. In the biofuels, prospect, risks, and opportunities. Food and Agriculture Organization FAO confirms that the demand for biofuel, which is growing rapidly as a result of the policy, is contributing to higher food price and threatening the food security of the urban poor, net food buyers, and rural areas, especially in developing countries. I think the policy that the government should take is poverty reduction policies will focus on the translation of poverty reduction strategies and policies into the planning and budgeting system. The strategy adopted includes two main points, namely creating a conducive environment for increasing the income of the poor, and B, increasing the effectiveness of basic social service to the poor. The poverty reduction policy in 2005 was taken through two main steps, namely 1. Encouraging community participation through policies that are able to alleviate poverty. 2. Utilizing government research through planning and budgeting by selecting important and urgent activities to be implemented and has a broad impact on improving the welfare of the poor. In line with the poverty reduction strategy, the priorities for poverty reduction policy in 2005 were placed on the following main efforts. 1. Expanding job opportunities for the poor through increased investment in basic facilities and infrastructure, good governance development, improving the quality of public service, as well as maintaining public security and order. 2. Empowerment of the poor through agribusiness development. Micro and small business development of community-based basic facilities and infrastructure, and provision and improvement of housing environment. 3. Increasing the capacity or capability of the poor, including improving health service, provision of medicines, cost of care and health facilities, improving educational service, providing scholarship and educational facilities, as well as improving out-of-school education, service, and skills training. 4. Social protection for the poor by providing food needs and developing a social security system. The implementation of the main effort is carried out by increasing the coordination of various development activities with priority on pockets of poverty in conflict-prone areas. Anggora Darussalam, Papua, Maluku, and North Maluku, as well as pockets of poverty in Java, namely as Java, Central, and West Java. Thank you. I think enough about the assessment about case in Indonesia.